Assalamu-Alaikum and greetings everyone. I am back with another video presentation, this time for those who are going to submit their professional experience requirements for Cima soon. Before moving any further, I would like to give a disclaimer. As everyone's circumstances are different, this video presentation does not guarantee success of your membership application. In this presentation, I am going to discuss about myself, routes to professional experience requirements, required competencies, proficiency levels, how to write PER examples, is my experience ready, the tips and tricks, verification and declaration, the remaining steps, and do's and don'ts. I will start by talking about myself. My name is Samad Masood. It's been a month since I submitted my PER, and on Sunday night I opened my Cima account with wonder what is happening with my membership application. To my surprise, my profile looked different. I had associate written under my name instead of student TOC. I went to bed with a positive feeling that my application could have been approved. Next morning, I went to office, and after finishing off with the usual Monday morning workload, I opened my Cima again to gather few more clues about my supposedly successful application. This time I received a congratulatory email which confirmed that my PER application has been successful and I can now write ACMA CGMA next to my name. The certificate, however, will take another 10 to 12 weeks. Okay, let's talk about routes to PER. There are two different routes to apply for Cima membership. The first one is paper-based, which includes application by post or using face-to-face session with a qualified assessor, in which case one can get results the same day. And the second one is online, which includes a membership application tool. Since I applied using online route, therefore my presentation is all about MAT. You will not be able to hear anything from me about paper-based route. If you are going to use paper-based route, this presentation might not be helpful. However, you can still pick the format for your examples. Okay, enough of with the introduction and everything. Let's get down to business. The required competencies. Basically, there are four types of skills that are required to complete the PER application. These include technical, business, people, and leadership skills. At least four competency categories must be selected between technical and business skills, with at least one from each area. This means that you can have two from technical and two from business, or one from technical and three from business, or three from technical and one from business. A minimum of one competency categories each from people and leadership skills. These should be in context of the technical and business skills over the minimum 36 months across foundational, intermediate, advanced or expert levels. These four categories must cover the minimum 36 months, and at least 18 months of this must be at the intermediate, advanced or expert level. This means that you can have experience in foundational area as well. However, for PER submission purposes, only examples from intermediate and above levels will be considered. Also, if you are working for over 5 years, please do not worry, because you will be given a chance to upload a career progression summary right at the end of the application before submission. I will explain these in detail now. So, technical skills. When you go and start your application, Cima will ask you to fill out your personal details and your employment details. After doing that, the first thing you need to do is to choose the skills you want to write the experience on. So I will start with technical skills. This is how it will look like. So under technical skills, you got all these competency categories. And within these competency categories, for example, the financial accounting and reporting one, you got three subcategories, which is professional accounting standards, transactional accounting and closing processes, financial reporting and compliance. And within these subcategories, you have then these proficiency levels, which are foundational, intermediate, advanced, or expert. So if we look at the foundational, there are two options available. So the first one is demonstrate awareness and knowledge of the professional accounting standards. And the second one is apply those principles to accurately record financial transactions and maintain appropriate support documentation. So these are under the foundational proficiency level. When you select one of the two, it will bring up this tick mark here, and then it will bring up the employer, the role, and the competency period. You select the employer, you select the role and the period it relates to, and write down all the experience that you have demonstrated in this role. Here I have chosen some other the competency area, which was probably from an intermediate level, and basically it says the review the accuracy and legitimacy of recorded financial transaction and related reports. Same is the case with the other business skills as well. So you got these 6 different competency categories: strategy, market and regulatory environment, process management, business relation, project management, and macroeconomic analysis. So once you have filled in competency categories, there will be a pink line under it, like or you can see that that box is filled now, which means that something is written under this category. Same goes with people and leadership skills. So the people got 4 different competency categories, and leadership got 5 different competency categories, but you only need one from each of them. So it can be from any level, like foundational level or intermediate level or advanced or expert levels. So coming back to the technical skills, for example, select at least one competency category from technical skills, and if you are doing so, you need to choose 3 from business skills. However, it's always good to have a good balance, so you can have 2 from technical skills and 2 from business skills. Although it doesn't really matter, even if you choose 3 from technical skills and 1 from business skills, you will still get your membership succeeded if they are the right examples. Because not everyone have enough business skills experience, especially if they are from a manufacturing background. And also it depends upon their level as well, which management level they are working at. So you can select 1 from here and 3 from business skills, or 3 from technical skills and 1 from business skills. However, people and leadership skills need to have only 1 from each of them. Also, within technical skills, you need to write down your examples between intermediate, expert, and intermediate, expert, and advanced level. Although you can have a great mix of experience by writing down some of examples from your foundational level or from your when you started your career, and it will bring a good mix of examples, and it may also set a basic foundation that you have gone through all those basic level of tasks, such as accounts payable or accounts receivable, such as processing invoices, for example. However, they will not really add any value or satisfy any PER requirement, but it will be great to have a good mix. So moving on, let's talk about these proficiency levels. Basically, there are 4 proficiency levels: foundational, intermediate, advanced, and expert. Here I've got this image from Cima Global, and it is about the technical skill, that is cost accounting and management. And there are 2 aspects of this competency category. One is cost accounting and another is cost management, and this one specifically is the cost management one. And if you look at these foundation, intermediate, advanced, and expert, you will see that on foundational it asks you to demonstrate basic understanding, whilst on intermediate it asks for applying various techniques such as target costing, value analysis, life cycle, and discuss implications, or prepare analysis, or participate in waste elimination efforts. And in advance, if you look at that, it asks you to manage cost challenge processes. So if you look at foundation and intermediate, the foundational is more related to the very basic, when you started your career as an apprentice, or maybe if you were under a graduate scheme, and so you can use some of examples from that experience under that. However, in intermediate, when you were probably an analyst or a management accountant, you can use those examples here. And if you are a controller or a divisional controller or maybe a group controller, then you can maybe play with advanced or expert. However, it's not like you cannot use advanced or expert, because in some roles you do get advanced access or perform advanced tasks. So you can still use those categories, but in most cases, for example, in my case, I used my most of the examples under the intermediate section, with the one or two in advanced as well, and none from expert. However, I have friends who were more experienced and they use expert ones. But all in all, you can only use between intermediate, advanced, and expert, and foundation only add a flavor to it, but not necessarily satisfying any of the PER requirements. Right. Okay, let's move on. So writing about PER itself. So you see, this section is about how do you write an example. I mean, you can get plenty of guidance from online, but I would like to be very specific about some of the examples I've written and how I have written my examples. So they might be useful for you. So what you need to do is you need to pick a specific example. So for example, if you were a management accountant and you were working on a project, then you can just name that project, and it was so you can use a situation, task, action, result, or a star format. So you can talk about a situation and you can talk about what the task was, what action did you took, and what was its result. So you can start up with something like who you report to, and you can say that whether it was a daily, monthly, weekly, or ad hoc task. So you can say that, for example, I do some monthly tasks, and I mean, we've got our monthly SOX self-testing. So I use one example that I do this task as my monthly task. Or if it's an ad hoc task, such as your controller asks you for that, or maybe if it was a yearly task like budgeting, for example, you can use that example and mention that it was part of our yearly or a 3-yearly fixed asset inventory count, for example, something like that, or something along those lines. You can give that example as well. Then you can include the fine details as well, such as history. With history, I mean that I was part of a location which was freshly acquired by my parent company. So I said that since it went live quite recently, we were facing various issues, and this task was particularly in relation to the integration and stuff. So I describe a bit of history as well, which about that, which basically sets the scene or describe the situation. And then I also mentioned about all the tools and techniques. You can describe that if you are preparing a report, for example, you can say I used Excel, the VLOOKUPs and other visual basic, or if any visual tools you've used in your examples, you can use that as well. And the main point is you need to focus on the skill. So you need to pay really great attention to the wording of the question. For example, if you are writing this particular example here, which is about business planning, and this is a competency category in the technical skill, and the sub competency is capital expenditure investment valuation, and it's on the intermediate level, and the question is communicate and apply investment decision making criteria. So you need to make sure you need to focus on the skill and the wording of the question. So if you are answering that, you need to explain where did you apply the decision making criteria. For example, if your company did an investment and if you have done any NPV calculations or IRR calculations, or even the payback time. So if you have applied that in any shape or form, you need to address it here, and which basically satisfies the wording of the question. So that's pretty much it as far as writing PER is concerned. And now let's move on. So the next step is my experience ready? So basically what happens is when you fill all of your experiences and written all the examples in, then it will come up here. So it brings up experience summary, which says the job title and the competencies here, and describe the time, change time. So it's basically before you have actually before this it asks you to apportion the time. So if you got like 6 competencies addressed, it will ask you to apportion times between those 6 competencies. And these will be only between technical and business skills. So people and leadership skills will not be allocated, only technical and business skills will be allocated. So you can say, okay, I spend like 10% of my time on business planning. Then you can just write down 10% against a specific example. So the time needs to be equal to 100. So if you add any more skill, then obviously you need to reshuffle or reallocate time so that each of the individual competencies have a time allocated against them. After you have filled in all the examples, competencies, and apportioned time to them, then it's a time to click on this button here which says is my experience ready, which basically check your entire application against all Cima PER requirements. And then one of the two things will happen after this. The first one will be, if it satisfies all the criteria, it will say that okay, the experience presented has cleared all the required eligibility criteria, and which means that you can move forward to the verification process or the verification page. However, if you have missed any examples in there, it will bring up something like that, which basically states that experience is not ready for submission, and it will give all the details here. So for example, this is a very good example which I picked up from one of my friend's profile, because I've already submitted my application when I was preparing this presentation. So this here it says that you must have competency from at least 4 categories in technical and business area, with at least 1 category in each of the true skill areas. Competency categories must also meet the minimum criteria to demonstrate required breadth of experience. Competencies for this application do not pass the minimum competency rules. Following other details. So if you look at that, for example, under the business skills, the number of competencies under competency category project management is less than the required minimum of 2. So it means that under project management it is less than required minimum of 2, and same goes with the competency category cost accounting and management at the intermediate level or above is less than the required minimum of 2, and all others as well. Also, it states at the end that total employment duration has exceeded the limit of 60 months, which means that you can only fill up to 5 years within the PER application, but you will always given a chance to upload your career progression summary if you have been working for more than 5 years. But the only thing that needs to be considered is that you need to pull out all the examples from your last 5 years and do not go beyond that. So you can, if you have done apprenticeship like 6 years ago, you cannot quote examples from 6 years, because you won't be able to verify that period, and it will be above the 5 years limit, and it won't, this MAT or the membership application tool will not allow you to post that. So before moving any further, I would like to explain this in detail, and for this I need to go to the appendix of the updated PER guidance. I will take you through this now. This is Appendix A of updated PER guidance. It lists down the skills and all the competency categories under those skills. So for example, if you look at here, this is a technical skill, and this is a competency category, financial accounting and reporting. These are the subcategories here, and these are the proficiency levels. And here it says the minimum competency required is 2, which means that if you look at this sub-competency category, so if you look at here, intermediate has 3 questions, advanced has 3 questions, and expert has 2 questions. And if we select 2 from like 2 from professional accounting standards, it will satisfy the minimum competency required. Or you can select 1 from here and 1 from transactional accounting, or 1 from financial reporting and compliance. But all these examples need to be between intermediate, advanced, and expert. Similar is the case with cost accounting and management. So they got 2 subcategories, cost accounting and cost management. They got 333, 332, and they can satisfy 2 competencies. You can have 2 from cost accounting or 2 from cost management, or you can have 1 from cost accounting and 1 from cost management. But also these needs to be between intermediate, advanced, and or expert level. Let's look at a different example. For example, management accounting, management reporting and analysis. They got like management reporting, which cannot be used alone. This alone means that if you quote one example from any of these proficiency levels under management reporting, then you need to choose financial analysis, for example. So you can have one example from here and one from there, and then you can satisfy the minimum competency required. Even if you do 2 examples from management reporting advanced level, you will not be able to satisfy the minimum competency required, because this subcategory is classified as not alone. Similar is the case with the business valuation under corporate finance, the internal audit under risk management, and so on and so forth. Same goes with the business skills. So you got intermediate, advanced, and expert. The competency category, so you got strategy, market and regulatory environment, process management, business relation, project management, and macroeconomic analysis. So you can have you have 3 different sets of questions under intermediate, 3 different under advanced, 3 different under expert. Usually they are related to each other. However, they are slightly different. They offer slightly different experience requirements. So you can have 2 examples from intermediate, and it will satisfy the minimum competency required for strategy. And then if you are choosing 2 from business skills, you can choose another one. For example, you can choose project management, and you can give 2 examples under intermediate, or 1 from intermediate, 1 from advanced, and it will satisfy the second competency required under business skills. However, if you are using 3 from technical skills, you can use 1 from business skill, and it will satisfy the minimum competency required for your PER application. Same goes with the people and leadership skills. It doesn't really matter which level you address your example at, but if you have 1 example from people and 1 from leadership, it will satisfy the PER minimum competency criteria. Once you have written all your examples according to the explanation I've provided on updated PER guidance, then you will be able to click on Is My Experience Ready? It will again bring one of these 2. You need to fill all these examples to the point when you get this experience presented has cleared all the required eligibility criteria. Once you reach the point where it says the experience presented has cleared all the required eligibility criteria, it will ask you for the verification. Before moving to the verification and declaration section, I would like to share some tips and tricks. So the first one is, when you fill up your competency, there is a button come up that says add this competency to another role. So if you have demonstrated the similar competency in another role, you can add example from that role as well. The benefit of doing this is that you will be able to satisfy the minimum competency requirement from answering the same question. However, I will not risk using the same trick for all of the competency category, and I will only use this trick once. And the person who is assessing your application might not accept the same excuse every time. So maybe just use it once only, and if it's absolutely necessary. The other trick I want to share is get your PER verified along the way, especially if you are changing roles. because it happens most of the time. We may not part ways with our employer on good terms, which means you will lose your all experience simply because your ex-manager did not verify that. The next section is verification and declaration. The system will ask you to add verifiers. Basically, you need to have two verifiers. Both of these can be your line managers or any person who is senior from you and has complete knowledge of your work duties and job responsibilities. Basically, you need to add them. So you add their role and designation and send them an email. They will receive a link. When they open this link, they will be redirected to all the competencies that you have asked them for verification. They can click on all the competencies and verify them. Once they have completed their verification, Cima will send you an email saying that verification is now complete. You can then open that and check the status of that verification. If there are any skills missing, then you need to ask them again or maybe get an additional verifier for that. Once you've got all the verification complete, button will appear which says, is my application ready? Once you clicked on that, it will say that application has cleared all the required eligibility criteria and is now ready to be submitted. If there are any errors, it will list those errors similar to the previous button. And then it will ask you for declaration. The declaration is a fairly straightforward procedure. After declaration, the last part is that you need to upload the career progression summary. This includes all your professional experience, right from apprenticeship to graduate scheme to management accounting and towards the question controller role or your existing role which you are in. You won't be able to progress without adding this, so you need to attach this career progression summary before you click submit. So the next step is, the remaining steps are, first of all is payment. I paid £160 and then you have to wait between 4 to 8 weeks after you have clicked submit. Before I finish off with my presentation, I would like to discuss the do's and don'ts. First of all, the do's. So basically you need to write down your PER as soon as possible. Although you get 4 years after you pass your exam to complete and submit your membership application, however, it's wise to get rid of it as soon as possible. I know some friends who left it last minute and found this process quite intimidating. And as the saying goes, a stitch in time saves 9. Similarly, writing it down as soon will ensure that you have everything fresh in your mind and you will not struggle like some of my colleagues at the very last minute. And if you are changing roles, it will be wiser of you to get it verified along the way. Don't write experience 10 years old because you will end up like this. So you got under technical skills you have addressed like financial accounting, cost accounting and management, business planning, management reporting, risk management and internal control. When you click on the Is My Experience Ready, it will say that your application lacks sufficient examples to satisfy the minimum competency requirements for PER. What you need to do is you need to focus on one of them first before you move on to the other. So you can write one examples per competency category, but you have to finish off first one before you can start on the next one. So all you need to have is two of these rather than writing loads and loads of examples between different categories, because it will not contribute towards your final PER minimum criteria. You only need at least one of the competency categories or up to 3 competency categories within the technical skills, because you still have business skills to address and you can use 3 from here and 1 from there, or 1 from here and 3 from there, or 2 competency categories from here and 2 from there. I've written absolutely unnecessary or irrelevant examples. I would not risk writing more than 3 from technical skills. That's everything from my side. If you have any feedback and questions, please write down in the comment section and I will try to respond them as much as I can. Thank you very much for watching this and I will see you next time.